With the passage of thousands of years, people are constantly finding artifacts and ancient structures that provide a wonderful insight into what life was once like, through carved lines, to caves, devices, and strange writings. But it is time to explore the most mysterious thing that humanity has discovered on Earth. And before we begin, please support us by subscribing to the channel and liking the video, so that we can make sure that our scientific material has won your admiration. Nazca lines. There are many large monuments around the world that would seem impossible for civilizations at that time to build. But in most cases their goal seems to have been immortality in the earth. But the same cannot be said for a series of carvings in the desert sands in southern Peru, where their full size can only be seen from the air, which predates human journey by thousands of years. Known as the Nazca lines, these formations were formed across the Nazca Desert between 500 BC and 500 AD by the Nazca culture. It is a series of images, some as tall as 1,200 feet long, depicting animals such as birds, fish, and humans, as well as a number of other plant species, and in some cases simply geometric designs, each made by removing the top layer of desert to reveal the pale earth. But because the weather there is very calm and there are no strong winds, the images have remained in pristine condition over the years. They were originally found in 1553, when explorers thought there were less obvious signs of the high peaks that surround the plateau. But it was only in the 20th century that pilots realized the full range of designs over which unusual objects soar, extraordinary images of amazing detail, and the inability to see their true form unless you are standing over them raises the question of why or how they were built in the first place. Extended caves. In 1992, Chinese farmers were draining water from 5 small ponds in their local village, and though they accidentally stumbled upon what would become an archaeological mystery, because these were not naturally water wells, the entrance to a series of man-made caves was discovered. Which is now known as the Longyu grottos, but 19 other caves have been discovered, some of which reach a height of 98 feet, as they are believed to have been built about 2,000 years ago. It was much larger than expected at the time. To add to the mystery, there is no record of any community living in the area at that time, or of giving sacrifices or who was responsible for making them. None of the caves connected to each other and were built with such precision and strength that these caves managed to survive thousands of years without collapsing, and the purpose of their construction is still unclear. While similar caves exist in an area in the northwest, these caves were built 1,500 years after the Longyu grottos. The researchers are now scanning the nearby land using ground-penetrating radar, hoping to find more caves that may contain artifacts that would help solve this mystery once and for all. Piri Reis map. In 1929, while a German theologian was cataloging items in the library of the Topkapi Palace in Istanbul, he found a piece of suede with an unusual map drawn on it. It is now known as the Piri Reis map. It is believed to have been painted in 1513, which is unusual, as it appears to accurately depict Antarctica more than 300 years before the continent itself was discovered. The map is said to have been drawn up based on more than 20 different maps and charts, but amazingly it shows Antarctica as a landmass as it would have appeared before it was covered in ice 6,000 years ago. This has led to many different theories as to how this was possible. The obvious suggestion is that the map was drawn with information that is more than 4,000 years old, which indicates the existence of a maritime civilization at the time, which was able to collect all the necessary information. Moreover, topographic data requires aerial capabilities. So whoever did it must have been incredibly advanced for the time, with some believing it to be evidence of ancient Atlanteans. Not everyone is convinced that this map is evidence of an ancient advanced society, although those who question the notion point to the fact that the map is also a fair representation of the lower coast of South America, with some of its modern geographic features. The Piri Reis map remains unconfirmed and is sure to be a source of debate for a long time to come. Either it is evidence of an ancient civilization or it is an early depiction of a continent that was only just beginning to be understood at that time. Central and South America are dotted with ancient structures from the pre-Columbian civilizations that once flourished there. But perhaps none are more mysterious than the series of stone balls, which can be found all over Costa Rica. There are approximately 300 of these hand-carved boulders, ranging in size from a few inches to 6.5 feet, made from a type of rock called gabbro. The largest weighed 15 tons, so not only would it take a long time to carve, but it would have been very difficult to move using the technology available in that time. It is believed that the balls were mainly a form of decoration, used to adorn the passages leading to the homes of the ruling class in society, now in modern times. They are seen as a connection to the country's past and are still revered in a similar way, with some being moved to a prominent place on government buildings. There is still much unknown about them, despite what is common of them deep in the woods. It is possible that there is a deeper cultural significance, which has not been revealed yet, so what do you think? Tell us in the comments. Voynich manuscript. It is possible to think that our understanding of the world and how it works is the best that science can achieve, and that human civilization has been on a continuous path of learning. However, this is not necessarily the case, as there are a number of artifacts that indicate many people and societies in the past were amazingly advanced. Perhaps this is evidenced by the Voynich manuscript, which dates back to the beginning of the 15th century. It is not known who wrote it, but that manuscript has become the talk of researchers since its appearance in 1912. It contains 240 pages with many illustrations and writings, but until now he has not been able to decipher what they mean. Tests have been carried out on other pages and confirmed that they are over 600 years old. But despite the attempts of the world's best cipher breakers, it has so far proven impossible to decipher the code in which words are written. The illustration indicates that it speaks of a complex botanical and biological understanding as well as an amazing understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and a number of other disciplines. It's not yet clear why the author felt the need to hide all the content from casual observers, but maybe one day someone will be able to decipher it all and make sense of what's in it. Baghdad battery. Humans did not know electricity until the past 2 centuries, or at least the full understanding of how it works was not developed until recently. But this does not necessarily mean that ancient civilizations did not know batteries, or at least used them without knowing the exact details of how they work as we know them. In 1936, 3 strange artifacts were found in the Khoja region of Iraq, and a ceramic vessel, a copper pipe, and an iron rod were discovered. It probably dates back to the Parthian or Sasanian empires about 2,300 years ago, and theoretically it could have been used to generate an electric current. But there is no indication that it was used for this, but instead it was likely that craftsmen used it for electroplating, a process by which metal plating is applied. Also, the lack of artifacts that were processed in this way at that time is direct evidence that this did not happen at all, so there's a possibility that it is just a coincidence, and that this vessel was used to store metal objects or any valuable property at that time. Dead Sea Scrolls. First discovered in the late 1940s in the Qumran caves in the West Bank, the Dead Sea Scrolls are a series of 981 texts written on parchment and copper paper, in Hebrew with Aramaic and Greek, and another from the Judean desert, also in addition to Latin and Arabic. Almost all of them are textual copies of religious works, such as the Hebrew Bible. A number of texts have been written down in the Bible, and many other books have been left out for some reason, which is a wonderful historical record. But something remains unclear. Who wrote the manuscripts? And why were they stored in caves like this? And perhaps most interestingly, how many manuscripts are still hidden, waiting to be discovered? And here we come to the end of today's episode. I hope you liked today's episode. See you next time. Goodbye.